All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, March 6th, and we have a 6-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, that'll be down in the pinned comment, absolutely free. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. Kind of a middling night yesterday. We do lose a little bit off the top. We had one unit across these two Keegan Murray plays, and then we had one unit on the parlay with the Celtics and Cavs alternate lines there. So again, we do lose a little bit off the top. I mean, Keegan Murray. Can we drop a womp womp on that look there? We had him over 11.5 points and then over 2.5 threes. He only took 2 threes, missed them both. He had 6 points, so not your best read from, not the best read from your boy here. I still liked that play, you know, even when he kind of started off slow. I was like, no, he'll pick it up. Never picked it up, so that was just a dummy look there. Obviously, the Celtics and Cavs has been something that we've been doing, taking alternate lines with them, parlaying them together. They're two absolute just workhorses, and they're cashing for us. So again, kind of like a meh night. We do lose a little bit off the top. We never want to be in the red, but sometimes you cannot avoid it. I almost wanted to throw Keegan Murray on the DNB graveyard just based on that, but it's only been one time that he has burned us. Speaking of burning us, let's talk about the opposite, all right? We got the ride of the day. We're not going to drop the cheers or the crowd noise or anything like that because this play did get altered. It's coming in from Colin, an absolute legend in the comments section here. Had Tyler Hero 3+ threes and Jokic 12+ rebounds. Tyler Hero doesn't end up playing, so this parlay ends up getting, absolutely nuked in terms of odds. But Jokic did still come through, so we'll count it as a cash call. I'm looking forward to seeing what you roll with today, but unfortunately, we didn't get the odds that, we were looking for there. But nonetheless, still a decent look here overall. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments. Give me your favorite play. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also shout you out right here over on my Twitter/X at FGuyBoston if you do want to follow me there. And yeah, if you win, we continue to ride their plays. If you lose, you got to face the womp womp. We talk about it and we jump on board with someone else. But looking forward to seeing what Colin throws at us today. He's been absolutely crushing, over the recent time here in the comments. And I've seen a lot of people giving him some love in the comments as well. So Colin, keep doing what you're doing. Let's go ahead and jump into this slate, guys. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let's start it off with Orlando taking on Chicago. So Orlando coming off of 3 straight losses, I guess. 4 straight losses, if I'm not mistaken, actually, right? 2 straight losses, though, against the same team, Toronto. They were favored by 7 and 6 points, losing both of those games. They've played a bunch of home games in a row, but they still just have not been able to figure it out, right? Chicago, 2-8 over their last 10 games. So they are 5-5 against the number, but in their last 2 games here, they got 11.5 points against Pacers, lost by 15. Then they played the Cavs, had 13.5 points in their back pocket, lost by like 22. So this Chicago team not looking all that great, and Orlando likes to shoot close to the hoop, right? That is what their goal is going to be. They're not exactly the best shooting team. We know Chicago is one of, if not the worst team overall in terms of preventing points in the paint. So that's making me want to lean towards Orlando. But I'll tell you right now, if you're out there watching this and thinking the same thing as me, great minds think alike, because I don't know if I can trust this Orlando team as far as I could throw them. Like, we thought we had the money line with them in the Bucks when they played the Raptors last game, and I was like, yeah, this is good. They hit a game winner, and then they got a game winner hit on them. Like, they scored with 3-4 seconds left, and then the Raptors scored. So I lost a lot of trust in this team, and not that I had much to begin with. Like, this Orlando team has definitely been struggling, even since started sort of getting more and more healthy. Today on the injury report, we do have some things to note. Cole Anthony and obviously Jalen Suggs. So it's like their backcourt could kind of struggle here. On the Chicago side of things, we do have Lonzo, we have Giddey, Patrick Williams, Kevin Huerter, and Vucevic all questionable. So obviously there's a lot of questionabilities in here, but more so on the Chicago side of things. So I'll stick with the lean of Orlando. It's just a matter of if I can kind of get comfortable laying, 7 points. Seems like it might be a little bit too much. In terms of what we have from a total, this is where I do think the Bulls could impact the game and up the tempo. We saw this matchup back in late November. And it was a score that you wouldn't really see Orlando usually having games in, right? It was 133 to 119. And that wasn't really with anybody going off. Like, they didn't have Paolo during that time, right? I think Wagner only had like 20 points. So this is just a game. That was just a game in which a ton of pace throughout the entire game. I think Orlando scored 30 plus points in like every single quarter. So yeah, maybe I like the over in this one again, or potentially a look at like an Orlando team total if we can get a good number on it, solely because of the pace. Again, I don't really trust this Orlando team, but I think the Bulls at least kind of are going to be able to get them going and playing at a fast pace. Like, listen to the last 5 or 4 games. Actually, we can just do the last 10. I have them up, right? These are the points allowed by Chicago. 139 to Cleveland, 127 to Indiana, 115 to Toronto, 122 to the Clippers, to a banged-up Philly team, 110, 121 to Phoenix, 113 to New York, Detroit, 128, and Detroit, 132, Golden State, 132. This Chicago team just let you score. So maybe a team total over or a look towards the full game over. Where I'd go player prop wise, it's kind of one that I'm still putting around in my brain, so we'll see how confident I am in it by the time I'm pulling the trigger. But Wendell Carter Jr. over 10.5 or 9.5 points, depending on the odds you can get. We already talked about it. The weakness in the paint. Wendell Carter Jr. should have some good looks here overall. And throwing the fact that, it's his old team and that type of thing, like maybe there's a little bit more there. He hasn't had like the best success, wouldn't say, against the Chicago team. Last 4, he's averaging 8.8, but a couple of those games, he really didn't play all that many minutes. Like, if he plays 25 plus minutes, he's hit that in 2 games against the Chicago team. So yeah, that's probably a player prop I'd look at. But again, this has been an inconsistent team filled with a bunch of inconsistent players. All right, Boston taking on Philly. It's going to be tough to talk about this one just because of all the injuries. So as of right now, the Celtics are on a back-to-back, so this could definitely change. But as of right now, it looks like Drew Holiday's questionable, Jason Tatum's questionable, and Porzingis was questionable. All 3 of those guys missed last night. So if they play, then that's obviously a massively different story, right? Even though they did actually end up taking it to Portland last night. They won by 10 points, right? Shout out to Peyton Pritchard and Derek White for the nights they had. Pritchard had 43 and Derek White had 41. Go watch back yesterday's video. I said, I think that I like the spots for Pritchard and White today. Guess what happens? They go off. I didn't take anything as a final play. But that is just the nature of the beast here. At least someone might have heard that and done something with it. But Philadelphia coming off of, a loss against Minnesota, in which that was Philadelphia is without Tyrese Maxey. I should note that. And Paul George is questionable. And obviously no Joel Embiid, right? So they are just banged up. I don't think that I like the idea of minus 14 for the Celtics, especially given the fact that this Sixers team just seems to play them tight. Not so much, I guess, the most recent time we saw them, but historically, I would say that. But realistically, how can you even like Philadelphia, right? Like, just by default, with all of their injuries and everything considered, even a banged up Celtics team should be able to beat this team because the Sixers themselves are banged up. You look at where the Sixers lack defensively, it's going to be in the paint. They've actually been a little bit better this year at defending the perimeter, but, and it's a big but, over their last 10 games, pretty damn bad. Above the break 3, 41% to their opponents. That's a better percentage than the Celtics are even shooting from above the break in their last 10. So I do think that that's going to be a spot in which the Celtics can kind of thrive. Mainly from the catch and shoot, I would say. This has been a pretty good, all season long, a pretty good defensive team. Philadelphia I'm talking about in terms of, preventing the pull-up jumper, and that's a lot of what the Celtics do. They do take a ton. I mean, they shoot a bunch of threes overall. They do take a ton of catch and shoot threes as well, but same thing. Derek White, Pritchard, Hauser, those are going to be guys that I'd consider tonight player prop-wise. It's probably where I'd go player prop-wise. But yeah, give me the Celtics minus the points, even though it's a big number. There's just nothing pointing to the Sixers side of things over here. Maybe a look at a Sixers team total over could be, under. Let me make that clear. Sixers team total under, because I really don't know where these points would come from. This is a good Celtics defense. Now, are they on a back-to-back? Yes. Have they been good on back-to-backs? No, but on no-rest situations this year, they've hit the under in 30, they've hit the over in 33% of their games, so in 64% of their games, they've actually stayed under, right? So I do think that the defense, especially with Porzingis healthy, Tatum healthy, Drew Holiday now healthy, their defense should be able to step up today. So right now we can get under 104.5. That's definitely a consideration of mine. I will just say, if this game gets running and Philadelphia thinks, the only way we can try and beat this team is to run, then we're in trouble. But I still think that Philadelphia has a rough time scoring tonight. And like I said, player prop wise, probably looking at some of the guys that I did yesterday. Just a matter of, are their lines going to be crazy, right? Like, we almost pulled the trigger on Peyton Pritchard, and I was like, 17.5 points. No, that's too high. Guy drops 43 last night. So yeah, we'll still consider those guys. Maybe Sam Hauser's a look, because he might be the overlooked child today. All right, guys, before we move on with the rest of the games, I want to talk to you about Underdog. If you have not checked out Underdog yet, it's a great way to get some more action going on games. Super quick and simple. Their interface is awesome. You could do it on the phone, on the computer. All you do is pick higher or lower based on player set projections. Put them into an entry. The more you win, the more you get paid out. Obviously, very, very cool, guys. Then they have a free Luka Square right now. 0.5 points. Do you think Luka Doncic is going to score 1 point tonight? If so, jump on over to Underdog, guys. That link will be down in the description, as well as the pinned comment. You'll also get a deposit bonus up to $1,000. Absolutely mind-blowing. Go ahead and check it out. That's Underdog down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. If you're not on Underdog, you are missing out. They do a ton of promos and things that make their app and site really, really cool. Go ahead and check it out. They also have a streaks feature, which we've been getting into, and I think I might start making a couple videos over on Instagram and TikTok about. But yeah, go ahead and check it out, guys. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Go check out Underdog. Let's jump back into the rest of these games now. All right, next up, we have Atlanta taking on Indiana. This is kind of an interesting one because we do have a low number, right, at 2.5. This Atlanta team has not really been playing the best basketball. Indiana is playing some good basketball, so I kind of raised the question of, does this seem like a trap line? You know what I mean? Like, this is a very weird number. Halliburton may not play. He's questionable. Benedict Mathurin may not play. He's questionable. Trae Young is on the injury report. He's been on the injury report. He's listed as probable. So, yeah, this is kind of an interesting one. When looking at this game, I try and think, okay, well, how would Atlanta stay in this one? And there's two things. I think that they could, weirdly enough, outrun the Pacers. It's not many teams can do that, but they can run, and they should also be able to score inside here. Atlanta's been struggling to defend the rim, defend the perimeter, anywhere. They don't have the best defense as of right now, right? But what I will say is their perimeter defense is bad, but that's not exactly where Indiana's been all that tremendous from this year. They've gotten a lot better in the recent games, so I understand that. But maybe there is an angle to get to Atlanta plus 2.5. I don't personally like it, but I think that's going to be the side that I look at here if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't play, because a couple of these things that I would look at for Indiana would be the advantage in the pick and roll, the advantage even from like shooting those jumpers. I guess I would say pull-up jumpers more importantly. Both of those are very Tyrese Halliburton centric. So if Halliburton doesn't play, I don't really mind Atlanta plus the points at home in what seems like a trappy spot. If Halliburton plays, I do think that I flip and consider the Pacers because, again, pick and roll and pull-up jumpers, two of his fortes, are going to be big, discrepancies in terms of offense versus defense in this game, and Atlanta just cannot really stop those. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. I think Atlanta can win this one and stay in it, with no Halliburton, with no Mathurin. But if Halliburton plays Mathurin, sure, I could throw him in there too. If we get those guys, then I think I do flip back to Indiana, the team that's playing better basketball right now. Total-wise, it's at 247. I get why it's so high. This could definitely be a high-scoring game. I'm not touching a total of, I don't want to have to ask for 250 points to be scored just to hit my play, right? So I do think a lot of points will be scored here, but 247 seems like it's a little bit too much. The player props, I do like a couple player props in this one. We'll start with Miles Turner. I like him over 16.5 points. He's done it in 4 straight games. If he gets the minutes, we should be good here. And this is a team in which, they just really do struggle around, 4 straight games in bad pick and roll defense against bad pick and roll defenses, not 4 straight games overall. Apologies there. He has he's gone 17, 17, 23, 18, 22, 18, and 16 in his last 7 games. So pretty good there. But again, we're focusing on the pick and roll here. If Halliburton doesn't play, I do kind of start to like this one less, even though you'd think, oh, more shots for Miles Turner. But I do think that some of those pick and roll opportunities open Miles Turner up. So yeah, that's one that we'd have to consider, based on the injuries. And then one that I also do really like here, I think it's a great matchup for him. Not sure which stat category we want to jump into, but I like Dyson Daniels. Right now, I'm looking at his over 24.5 PRA, so points, rebounds, and assists. So his last 9 games against last 9 games, let's see if we can word this correctly. Last 9 games of totals that are over 240, which this one is, right, against defensive rating teams of 110 and beyond. He's hitting 8 of those 9, averaging over 25 PRA. In those last couple, so we take out some of the losers, still looking really, really good. 29, 35, 31, 34, 31, 28, 31. You know what I mean? So I do think that we have a good little look here for potential of Dyson Daniels in terms of just being involved overall. That's why I like his PRA. And like I said, I'm not exactly sure which spot I like more, but I think that he could definitely be involved here, just kind of overall getting boards, some dimes, and some scoring. If this game is a high-paced game, which based on that total, they're indicating that it should be. All right, next up, we have Brooklyn taking on Golden State. This is one that I don't have as much interest in as I guess a couple other spots here on the slate. Brooklyn, obviously, not playing that great, 4-6 over the last 10. They've lost 5 straight. Golden State, though, is kind of rolling. Like, that was a really solid win over New York. I know they didn't have Cat. I get it, but still, that is a big win. They're now 8-2 in their last 10, and they're not only winning, they're covering. They're 8-2 against the number in their last 10 as well. I will say that this Brooklyn team, I've been talking about them, right? I think their perimeter defense is actually fair, and their pull-up defense, which obviously Golden State does a decent amount of, or at least one of their best players, Steph Curry, their best player actually, does a lot of. Brooklyn should be pretty good at that. Golden State in the isolation, Brooklyn should be able to shut it down. Brooklyn against the pick and roll, not all that terrible either. So there are angles to get to Brooklyn here, but one team's playing really, really well. One team isn't. Russell's, like, yes, Cam Thomas, like, they're a little bit more healthy. I could see myself liking the Brooklyn side of things, if anything, in this game, but just rewind a couple minutes here. I said this isn't my favorite matchup or anything like that. So does Golden State win this game? Yeah, I honestly do think that Golden State wins this game, but I think that it's probably by, like, I don't know, maybe like 7 points, right? Like, not double digits. So take that for what it's worth. Again, this is not my favorite spot, but I do think defensively there are some angles to make for the Nets. Not that they've been playing stellar defense at all. I mean, they honestly haven't. They had a really good run of defense, and then in the last few games, 129, 121, 115, 127. So I get it, but how they play defense against the pull-up, forcing them to pass, like, yeah, I do think that there's some angles. I'll sound the psycho alert alarm. Maybe it's crazy, but that's the way I'm leaning. In terms of a total, maybe the better play here would be to consider an under. That's how Brooklyn can kind of make their stamp versus asking them to stay in this game. Maybe they just keep this pace down. Last 10 games, they're the 4th slowest team in the league. So sure, maybe that's a better way of looking at it, allowing them to just say, hey, we don't need you to win. We don't need you to keep it close. Just play defense for better than you have been playing. So give me the under, and then no player props that I'm really liking in this one either. And I know we get a lot of comments, quick rant here, a lot of comments when I say, I don't know if I like this spot, and then I talk about the game anyways. If someone is just looking to blindly tail, and it's like, hey, why do you even bring up these points if you don't think you're going to bet it yourself and all that? That's fair. I guess you can have that opinion, but you might be watching the wrong channel, I guess. Like, we're trying to discuss these games, and maybe I mentioned something that you didn't know watching, or there's some information or tidbits in there, or you just find me entertaining. Like, it's not just hey, if I'm not gonna play it, I shouldn't talk about it. It's like, I like talking about sports. That's what we do on the show. We talk about all the games, and I give you my endless stream of consciousness, I guess. So yeah, just wanted to call that out, because we do get a lot of comments of that, and it's like, I get that makes sense, but we're not going to just skip games. The worst we'll do is say, hey, this is what I would do if I had to, and that should give you the sort of, confidence radar or level of where I'm standing on the game. So just wanted to clear that up, I guess, if that makes sense. I know a lot of people, OGs, kind of get the zhuzh of the show and the gist of the show, but we get new viewers every single day. So yeah, if you're watching, shout out to you for being a new one, and now you get the explanation. Let's move on. I'm rambling big time at this point. All right, New Orleans taking on Houston. I do want to start with a player prop here, because I like the spot right now. Jalen Green over 3.5 assists. I'm not minding now. Is he going to pass the ball a ton, get a lot of chances? Maybe not, but no Fred VanVleet in this game. And in games without Fred VanVleet this season, he's actually been pretty good. He's hit this in 63% of games, averaging, I believe, over 4 assists, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I kind of like the spot for him with no Fred VanVleet in a game in which we don't really have much defense on the New Orleans side of things, right? So, yeah, going to be a player prop that I'm considering there. Again, Jalen Green, that's over 3.5 assists. I want to look at Amen Thompson too, but even without, at one, his line's up to 5.5, which without Fred VanVleet, it's been sitting right around 4.5 and whatnot. And he's landed on 5 so many times on the hook that it would drive me nuts. So yeah, both those guys in their assist department I like, but Jalen Green should have a crazy amount of usage today. And no VanVleet, he's obviously the ball handler, and I think that he can get 1 assist per quarter. So that's going to be a player prop look. In terms of what we have from a side, this one's a little, interesting to me, because I don't think this Pelicans team is very good. If you've been watching them, you probably shouldn't think they're very good either. But this Houston team is weird. Like, this is another line like that Atlanta, Indiana, where I'm like 4.5. That doesn't seem like it makes too much sense, but you look at Houston and it's like they really haven't been playing the best of basketball. Now they played Sacramento, OKC, and Indiana. I think that this is the easiest team they've played in those, in the last 4 games, and they've lost all of those. They did cover against OKC, but they had 14 points in their back pocket. I'm going to lean Houston in this one, okay? But I'm a little worried. Like that just seems like a trap line. The Pelicans kind of stink. They're not good at home, not good on the road. Like, you can't really cut it up and say that they're good any way, shape, or form. Houston, same amount of rest here, and they're coming off of 3 straight losses. I imagine that this team, who at one point was crushing it in the West, now in the 5th or 6th spot, like, I imagine they want to get back in the win train, the win column. So, yeah, I think that they do that today. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here, but New Orleans' defense is so bad that this Houston team, at least Jalen Green, some of these Sengun, Amin Thompson, some of these guys should be able to score today. I don't think the Pelicans keep up against what I would consider a good defense in Houston. So yeah, that's how I'm going to go. But again, player prop wise, we're kind of also looking at, Amin Thompson and Jalen Green, probably Jalen Green more so in his assist lane. In terms of what we have from a total, I would say that this one gets right around, gets up to that number, 228. This Pelicans defense, like I've been saying multiple times, is not all that great. And Houston, over the last 10 games, actually playing at a top 11 pace in the league, and their defensive efficiency hasn't been great either. They're bottom 8 in the league over the last 3 games. So, yeah, and again, they did play some good offenses, right? OKC, Sacramento, Pacers, I get that. But if they aren't firing on all cylinders defensively, the Pelicans may be able to score inside against them, and we could see some points here. So I'm going to lean over, but maybe a Houston team total over. I think the Pelicans defense is not in the best situation today. All right, Lakers taking on the Knicks, probably the game of the night, but we're still going to have to wait out some injuries here. So on the starting side of things for the Lakers, Doncic, Reeves, and LeBron all questionable. We do see some sites saying they're probable, so that's good. Then you have Morris, Kleba, and Hachimura all listed as out. On the other side of things, Precious Achiuwa, OG Anunoby, and Mitch Robinson all listed as game time decisions. That's going to be pretty damn huge because this is a Lakers team, that once did like to score in the paint. I've been saying it in my videos for weeks now, even ever since I guess that Luka trade. You could say that this team's become more of a perimeter team, and they have, right? Losing Anthony Davis down there, they're kind of winning in the perimeter, but overall, they still can mix it up down low, right? And this Knicks defense is not looking all that great down low, especially with those guys injured. But you can make the same argument on the other side. This Lakers defense, I don't see anybody that can stop Cat or anyone getting to the hoop. So I think I just look at an over 228. I'm sure that might be a public side today, right? The over there. This Lakers defense, I would say, has been decent, right? On the season, 13th in terms of defensive efficiency, 9th over the last 3 games. The Knicks really haven't been the best of defenses. So yeah, I could see an argument being made that, the Lakers defense is going to step up, but I don't think that it's the best of matchups defensively. Sure, their defense has looked good, and they've actually been kind of outkicking their coverage, in my opinion, at stopping points in the paint, but they haven't really had to go up against a Karl Anthony Towns. Last time they went up against a good center was Jokic, and Jokic didn't seem all that involved. He had a triple-double, but only like 12 points, right? So again, if we see someone like a Towns actually attack and be aggressive, I think we could see some success there. So yeah, I like the over in this one too, 28.5. I would say that paint battle is going to also kind of determine that I lean towards the Knicks. We want Cat to play. He missed, obviously, was it their last game? Yeah. We want some of those other guys, Mitch Robinson, Achiuwa, OG Anunoby, like some of those interior guys I want to play. But as of right now, yeah, I like the Knicks here. But you could totally make the argument for the Lakers. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind if you like the Lakers today, especially the way that they've been playing. Like, that's one of the teams, I say it all the time, don't want to get in front of them. Like, the Lakers are right there. But I do think that this Knicks team, can step up and win this one, especially because they've been losing big games. I don't know if we'd count this as a big game, but this Lakers team's definitely playing well. They've now they're sitting pretty in a playoff spot. I think, are they the 2nd seed? Let me see if I can find that really quickly. I think the Celtics. I think the Lakers are the 2nd seed, right? Let's see. Western Conference. Yeah, Lakers right now 2nd seed, right? So they've definitely done not exactly 180, but definitely are now in a better situation. And gosh, we don't have to talk about it here, but the Mavs now, Kyrie's out for a year. Yikes. Anyways, all that said, I know the Lakers are playing good basketball. I know it's risky to step in front of them, but kind of like New York with the points here just because of the interior. There's a lot of other arguments you can make for LA, and I give you those. I'm not trying to take away. But I also do like the over, like I mentioned. Now, player prop-wise, I guess Karl-Anthony Towns could be someone that I consider. We're going to want these injuries. I don't think we have many lines for this game out yet just because of the injuries that we're waiting on. So I think Towns could have a good game. I also don't mind, especially in some of these spots. Now it has burned us, but it's also come through for us. I don't mind, the forgotten child of that threesome pause. Mikal Bridges. I think that he's in a decent spot here too, because, if we get, say you have Jackson Hayes or Finney Smith covering Towns, right? And then you have Austin Reeves or Luka probably covering Mikal Bridges. Like, I think that we could see Mikal Bridges have a decent game, a phenomenal game, probably not, but don't mind it, a decent game. And I think his line's only at 14.5, right? So yeah, 14.5. Last time he played the Lakers, which was back in, that was in February, early February, he had 16 points. He was 2 of 4 from 3, 7 of 14, shot 50%, right? And that had Cat and Jalen Brunson there as well. So maybe that's a look as well. Mikal Bridges points, because I do think Karl-Anthony Towns, I think his points line at 22.5, I don't necessarily mind, but we want to make sure that he's playing, right? So that's the direction I'd lean in. Anyone that can kind of get to that mid-range or inside for the Knicks today would be a consideration for me. And then, obviously, Luka and LeBron are definitely viable options as well, because I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button right there. Hit that subscribe button. It's free to do. It helps us out a ton. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you did enjoy this video, because I feel like we ranted at one point, but you know what? Only 6 games. We made pretty decent time, 25 minutes. It is what it is, right? If you watch these videos, you got to suffer through the rant sometimes. But we'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.